should be some sort of prestigious honor, but I feel like.
But I can't put that on my resume.
You can put that on your resume. What employment that will give you?
We'll figure it out.
We'll both be disappointed.
We'll figure it
out. But the idea for this is basically to provide a space where people from all walks of life can talk about things that they care about that aren't necessarily the things that they spend their 9 to 5 doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of have just a lot of amateur and fun takes on things, which is definitely one of my favorite things. So that's the idea, man. So what kind of we did, and we'll play with this format as it goes on, is I texted you, a little while ago, and I said, what are 3 things you want to talk about that aren't food related? We'll cover food. We might start there, and then just kind of open it up for an open conversation. Sound good?
Perfect.
Great. So first thing I want to touch on, let's just kind of cover the basics. Who you are, where you grew up, and how you started cooking. Let's do that. So
do I need to get close to the microphone?
It's all sound tested.
Perfect.
We can be natural.
So yeah, my name is Fermín Nuñez. I grew up between northern Mexico and Texas, back and forth most of my life.
Mm-hmm. What parts of northern Mexico?
Northern Mexico, Torreón, and Durango.
Okay.
The most two that I spent the most
That
time.
might be the best bar roll I've ever heard. It was like dramatic and
There's
just
plenty
subtle
of
at the
that
same
one I
time.
came from.
It's really nice.
And then Texas being El Paso, San Antonio,
Yeah.
Houston, and obviously Austin.
Yeah. What parts of Texas were you at, like as far as different ages?
So I don't remember ages much, but I definitely remember like what points in my life I was at certain periods. So like for example in El Paso I did 5th and 6th grade.
Okay.
Before that I was between Torreón and Durango. And then after that my mom got really mad and she was like, you're gonna get somebody pregnant because all the chicks here are like too good looking. And I remember like years later, obviously she told me but she told me she made the decision the last year that we were there for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
One of my like little neighborhood friends, she came over to take me out to go trick or treating, and she was dressed up as Catwoman.
Oh God!
And
so young for you. We're gonna get back to this later, by the way.
And she was, we were like probably 12 at that point, and 13, and my mom was like, "Yeah, no, when the school year's over, we're going back to Mexico." So then after that, I went to Torreón.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed there through high school. After high school, I went to San Antonio to go to college for 1 long year.
Mm-hmm. I did the same thing. Not the same thing.
And then after that, I went to culinary school in Houston.
You go to Art Institute?
Yeah, the Art Institute of Houston in downtown Houston.
I used to live somewhat close to there.
But the thing is, like when I was in San Antonio, I met so many people from Houston. I was like, this is cool. Like there's cool people.
Yeah.
But when you're 19 and you go to culinary school in Houston, downtown in the Galleria area, it's not the best.
I think in order to appreciate that city, you have to have kind of been around a little bit more to make peace with the sprawl and grind that it is, and kind of become infatuated with that. And you have to appreciate culture, because the diverse culture in Houston is its biggest strength, in my opinion. And if you're not fucking with that, then you're missing the city.
Yeah, at 19 years old, how and
nobody.
And I had just come from college, right?
Sure.
And I was like, the reason why I stopped, I went to culinary school was because I was partying too much in college, and I was like,
I can't relate to that.
I was doing horrible in school.
Totally.
And somewhere along those lines, I read the Kitchen Confidential book by Anthony Bourdain. And not to say that I was broke, but this is how much I wasn't into spending money on things that were valuable. I would rather go to Barnes & Nobles. Remember those stores?
I do remember those stores.
Yeah, stores.
Yeah.
Where you had to go and buy books.
I know.
I would go to Barnes & Nobles.
Or CDs.
Once a
You
week
get the French Laundry and Ghostface in one place.
at the same time.
Yeah, at the same time.
And you can get some cookies.
Yeah, no doubt.
All at the same time.
And an average coffee.
Which back then was a great coffee, probably.
Facts.
You know?
Yeah.
So I would go there once a week just to read Kitchen Confidential, but I would have no problem spending $20 on Keystone beer for priorities, right?
Yeah.
That book is the one that made me want to go to culinary school because I don't know if you remember, obviously you read it.
Yeah, I read it.
But it's that lifestyle of pirates and cooking, and,
Totally.
and I was driven to that.
It gives you something some sort of identity to latch onto when you're grasping at that very thing, when you're having trouble finding it.
It gave me hope into finding that I was not that lost, and I could do something that was meaningful.
Yeah.
And I could still have that lifestyle of partying, having fun, and not just being tied to a desk.
Did you kind of immediately have a space where you wanted to be creative? Was that one of the initial inclinations of the profession? Or what was the draw to food for you as a profession?
At that point, I wasn't that into the cooking part.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't that into like just wanting to create. I was just into the camaraderie that I saw, like just
the culture,
the lifestyle, the culture that I was just so driven by. That it's like hanging out with friends and getting paid to cook. Right? I wasn't into like the soigne cooking, the fancy things.
Totally.
I didn't know how to cook then.
No one did.
And then you have the chef that is like, my grandma. He's like, I didn't have that.
I didn't know. The reason I went to culinary school and started cooking is because my family's culinary background was so terrible that I was like, I go to restaurants and I go, this food's good, and I go home and be like, this is not good food. I want to make just sheer necessity. So I completely relate to that for sure.
So I just went for I wanted to be a pirate.
Yeah.
And I was like, Houston is close enough to San Antonio, and I met some cool people from Houston that are in San Antonio. So I still have that vibe of college, right? And then I'm 19 years old. I moved to Houston. I'm in the Galleria area because I scored a very reasonably priced apartment, which is very cheap.
Also, good low key, that age, kind of underage nightlife in the Galleria area. I'm sure you did well there.
I did okay, but I didn't have a car, so I was just running a bicycle too, and then Houston is not the place where you just have a bicycle.
It's for sure not. Did you take your dates to Grand Lux in the Galleria? Did you ever do that?
Yeah.
I love that for you.
No,
I get it. I lived there, dude. I get it.
The Grand Lux.
The Grand Lux.
Yeah. It felt like a step up above the Cheesecake Factory.
That's literally what it is.
Yeah.
About a Cheesecake Factory.
They tell us just so you know, if you want to place your dessert order right now, you want to do it because we bake them to order, and you're like,
yeah.
Never been to a restaurant.
This is magnificent.
Yeah.
And then you get your salad for lunch, and it is 7 gardens in one bowl.
All in one bowl.
Am I going to eat this for 3 days? For sure.
But that's Houston. You gotta have leftovers after you go out and eat.
Sure. So what next?
So I was 19 years old, thinking that I was gonna have the same vibe at college.
Yeah.
Not the thing in culinary school. There was people that I was probably one of the youngest people in class. There was a bunch of people that have done other things that now they wanted to be chefs, right?
Totally.
For example, one of my classmates was a cheerleader for the Houston Texans.
That's amazing.
She was beautiful.
How was the cooking?
She was probably
not great.
Yeah, no.
Great.
She didn't need to worry about it.
Here's an interesting question. Well, I think it's interesting. We'll see what people do. Of the people that you were close with in culinary school, what percentage of them are still cooking now?
I don't think, not even 2%.
Yeah, interesting. Why do you think that is?
It's hard.
Yeah.
That's
100%. You're totally right. I think people, they get frustrated with whatever they're doing. They're uninspired by it, and they see this glamorized life, and you can find a lot of different satisfaction in the restaurant business. It's not a thing where you have to be one way to be successful at it or enjoy it, but it is something that if you don't enjoy really demanding work, or if you don't want that from your career, it is a terrible career choice. If you want a 9 to 5, never do this.
No, and the thing too, culinary school makes you believe that you're gonna go out there and start winning and get the job that you're gonna be a chef, sous chef at the very least, right? And
totally.
That's not the case.
No, nor should it be.
Right?
Nor should it be. Those. I remember when I came back from culinary school, and I, for whatever reason, thought that it would be a good idea to get a bachelor's degree from culinary school because learning business from chefs is a good business investment.
So there you go.
The completely fucked logic of that is something that it is what it is, right? I'm very grateful for the fact that I've been fortunate to work with very good operators and have since actually taught me good business. But anyways, it's one of those things that I think people don't don't necessarily get the full picture of, when it comes to what the path is to go from I want to become a cook to I'm a cook to maybe I do that through some sort of education system, or maybe getting yard slide around, or what have you, whatever that looks like, and then you walk the path of sous chef, executive chef, all that stuff, and then eventually move on to owner operator. That path is walked by very few.
But it's like I agree 100% with what he said, but I feel like that is the path for a lot of careers. I think the thing that makes it hard on cooking is the physical work, right? And you're next to people that didn't necessarily go to culinary school,
sure,
that are in the same line as you are, and didn't spend the thousands of dollars that you did, right?
Yeah.
Because think of an architect. Like you go to architecture school, and you're not going to be calling the shots in the next building you're going to build, right? You have to prove your way.
Well, what's interesting too is that I think the things that differentiate a good line cook that could possibly be a sous chef or a junior sous chef or whatever you're in line for at that restaurant, right? Those aren't things that are taught in culinary school, right? So the line of both professional and economic growth has nothing to do with your education, and that's where the industry, I think, is not flawed. I think that's completely valid because, ultimately, fitting the job description is what's valuable to the business owner and operator,
Apprentices, right? What I think culinary school should definitely be teaching more of? Kitchen equipment repair.
That's a great point. I thought, oh my god, dude, that's such a good idea. I love that.
Fuck licensing, or fuck a class and teach everybody
operational efficiency, how to drop dollars to the bottom line. Dude, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
No, you're totally right. That is a real asset. That's a great point. Also, shout out to Waterloo. Hashtag sponsored. Cool. So, what next? So you're in Houston. You're in culinary school. Where'd you go to cook after that?
During culinary school, I realized that I wasn't learning what I needed to learn to get to where I wanted to be.
Which was hard.
Ideally, where I am now.
Great. Cool.
Before pandemic.
Yeah. It could be. You could have said culinary school, I really want to open this restaurant, have it be wildly successful, garner a lot of national press, and then I want to close for a while because of a worldwide health catastrophe.
I should have said that, huh?
Well, your goals would have been more aligned.
Then I would have been living the dream. Living the American dream.
God bless us finding humor in moments like this, huh?
Yeah. That's what keeps us going, right?
No
You gotta have humor.
No doubt.
If not, it's just sad.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So yeah, I said I eventually want to be the owner of a restaurant that I can call my own.
Mm-hmm.
Closer for a pandemic, just like you said, so
yeah.
Being online with all that.
Yeah, totally.
But I always said, and I've always had this personal thing, it's if you want a goal, you have to start working backwards, right? Yeah. It's how do I become an executive chef? How do I become an owner? And then, I need to be a sous chef. And how do I become sous chef? Lead like blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So
it's a very good point, actually. Now that I look back on how long, in the time that we've worked together and apart and just kind of watched each other, you have done that very pragmatically and logically.
I think that's
and
not just in cooking, in life too, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's how you achieve things, because goals are not going to happen by you wanting them.
You have
to work, and you have to have a step program for achieving them.
Totally.
If not, they're just dreams.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that, and I at the time I read I forget the name of the book. It was either The Soul of a Chef or The Making of a Chef.
The Granicus book?
No, by Michael Rowe.
Oh yeah.
Where he I forget which one of those is, but one of those is where he follows the certification for a master chef.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that early on.
And I was so blown away with it, because for the first time in my life, I was doing well in school. Mm-hmm. My tests were, I was acing, I was doing all those great things. And I was very lucky to fall in love with cooking for all the things that were not necessarily said in Kitchen Confidential. Totally. So I took a turn and I was like, I want to learn how to make the best stock. And what makes the best stock? And why do you roast them? Why do you put tomato paste on? Why do you have to roast them? So I got very into cooking just for the love of it, and it didn't feel like homework. It didn't feel like school. So I ended up reading that book, read about certified master chef, and I was like, this sounds intense.
Sure.
And I started Googling things and realized that there was a certified master chef in Houston at the time. He was the only one in Texas and one out of 50-something in the States.
I remember that. Yeah.
French Kitchen.
No, a lot of people went to work for him.
Totally.
And,
there was like the ACF, the
That was a big thing.
Big thing.
Yeah.
I asked the teachers like, how do I get in contact with this fucking guy? I need to tell him that I want to work for free.
Yeah.
I need to tell him that he needs to teach me. He's like, well, there's like a social at Four Seasons, I forget whatever hotel it was.
Right.
He's like, you can probably try to get into for your school coat.
Yeah.
And tell him that you're helping. So I did that. I like showed up, pretended I was working the event. I found this dude, and I was like, hey.
You literally just faked it.
Yeah. I was like, hey, I don't have any kitchen experience, but I really want to work for you until I earn my pay. If you give me a chance, I'll try my hardest. And he's like, okay, come to me tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. This was like before iPhones. This was before,
whatever.
Yeah, technology.
Yeah, totally.
So I was like, okay, cool. He's like, what time is it? 11. So I rode my car. I think at that point I had a car back then.
Yeah.
Drove there, and it was the Houston Country Club, like fancy country club,
totally.
like Bush is an owner there, all the rich money people from Houston.
Lots of oil.
They don't let me in.
I was surprised.
I was there like a cold wall, like just like
No, I get it. I mean, that's.
Why would they let me in, right?
That's
this guy.
This guy told me and has told nobody.
Yeah. So
also, side note, classic chef communication.
Oh my! He's like, so it was like show up at 10:30, and they don't let me in. And I'm like, no, you have to. He's like, sorry, sir, you have to leave. So I start sweating, and I drive back home. I send this dude an email saying, hey, just so you know, we met last night, like at the event at the social, whatever. I don't want you to think that I didn't show up, but your dude at the fucking gate didn't let me in.
Yeah.
I'm ready whenever you are.
Just let the guy get you.
Just let me know. To tell your fucking guy to let me in. And then he replies 10 minutes later, he's like, come now.
Oh, it's amazing. So you turn around.
So and it's like I said, you didn't have phones to tell you when you email. So I was literally just refreshing the email, thinking I already blew it. Right? Yeah. And he's like, come on, shortest fucking guy.
Yeah.
Show up now.
Yeah.
I show up again. The same dude is at the gate. And I'm like, he's like, okay, go ahead and park there, blah, blah. Cool. So go in, have an interview, and then within 3 days I was working there full time.
Great.
Spent my time there. I think I worked there for 9 months, a year. Yeah. Pretty much until I moved out to Houston. Yeah. I was working there. But for the first 6 months, I didn't get paid. Yeah. Fine, right? Yeah. But after the 6 months, I was working saute. I was working next to Michael Castillo. I was running little banquets, saute bullshit. For 100 people. Yeah. And people.
Hey, Michael Castillo.
People
sponsor us.
Sponsor. And people were people knew that I wasn't getting paid. And when I started running heavier stations, they were like, you getting paid now? And I was like, no. And they're like, you should talk to him. Yeah. So after 6 months.
So what are they running labor numbers at a country club? Come on.
So after 6 months of not getting paid, I have the courage to go up to him and be like, Chef, I think I'm doing a good job. I was wondering if, maybe I could get paid now.
Did he even remember that you weren't getting paid?
And he's like, you're not getting paid?
Yes, totally. Oh, that's amazing.
And then I got paid.
Yeah.
For the last,
He's probably bonusing pretty good off those labor numbers.
Sure. And at the time, I think he made it up to me by paying me good money, which was $13.
That was good money then. For the record, that was good money.
Good.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was probably still making shift pay $75 a day at that point. Fuck. Good for you.
I mean, that was when you would get a line cooking job for $9.
Yeah, totally.
So 13, I was like, wow.
Swimming in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
still OT.
Yeah.
Well, OT too.
Yeah, definitely OT.
There you go. Good for you.
Overtime pays the bills.
It always does. It always does. In life.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I think that's my new motto now.
So facts. And you came to Austin after that?
And then, at that time in my life, my friends that I went to college with were still in college.
Okay.
And I got very jealous because my responsibilities were way different than theirs.
Yeah.
I was working as a line cook, paying my bills. They were partying.
Yeah.
One of my really good friends went to Europe, to Amsterdam for spring break. I got so jealous. Page, I was jealous. It's like,
Why?
Why is this?
Because it was Amsterdam.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like life is not fair.
Yeah.
Why does he get to go to Europe and I'm already worrying about paying my
Money.
rent?
Yeah.
So I asked him, like, hey, can I like sleep in your couch for the next 6 months?
Yeah.
Because I want to go to Europe for a whole summer.
Yeah.
He was like, sure. So I like saved all the money that I could, and then I backpacked through Europe for like 3-ish months, a little bit over 2 months.
What country did you hit?
Oh God, I did Spain, I did France, Italy, Amsterdam, of course.
What was that like?
Czech Republic. Amsterdam was great. I did Belgium too. I lived in the UK.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Ran out of money and had to spend my last week in Cyprus.
Not a bad way to spend your money.
Not a bad way. No. And I had a friend there that I knew from college. He was there for summer, and we were like, hey, we have $200 left. Like, we have 7 days. Can I go crash with you?
Yeah.
Flying in Europe is very cheap.
Did you do Eurojet back then?
Easy tip.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went around Germany too. I did a little bit of Germany.
Nice.
So it was like I had the time of my life. That also brought my ego down. Before that, I thought I was like God's gift to cooking.
Totally. And then you go.
And then you realize
See how big the world is.
And then you realize like, yeah, bechamel is not that hard.
No, and
people do it.
Yeah, and like sandwich places are making good bechamel.
I think that's like part of like American culture. It's like here you don't grow up with like taking pride in what you cook. It's easier for you to go eat out and just feed yourself.
There is no unified kind of culinary culture here. You know, it is a history that is either frontier culture or plantation culture or immigrant culture. You know, and that's really it. You know, and so you have these things that are inspired by less ingredients but more either as landscapes relate to styles of living. And then how cultures fit in, with that.
Yeah. People take pride in...
And the diversity of that is really cool, right? Because I think we have, as far as like the different types of food you can get per square mile in good food cities in America, it's fucking rad,
Yeah.
But, to ask you, what are the American classics? And while they are some of the most popular food items in the world, i.e., what people perceive to be American food, mac and cheese, hamburgers, shit like that, right? They're pretty uninspiring.
Very. Very uninspiring. And it's hard, right? Because like even things that are American, like salads, like Cajun food, that's the part of French cooking.
Sure.
I never thought of Cajun food as being American.
Totally.
But then you go to Europe and French food. Yeah. And French food is French food. Like,
well, it's so interesting because I think you have, specifically in that region, right? You have, because I think the way a lot of Central and Western European food is, I'll say specifically France, you're not getting a lot of really aggressive seasoning. You're getting really stock-based stuff, really fat-based food. There isn't a lot of diversity or layers of flavor. And that is a huge difference. In those cuisines, which I think like that interpretation of that and how the regionality and really the spice trade influence that cuisine is so cool. It's so cool. It's totally its own thing. It hasn't gone anywhere. That's what's so cool. Sure you can get like a shitty gumbo house on the side of the road in Montana. Fine, or maybe it's a great gumbo house. Who knows? I don't want to talk shit about Montana. Don't ask me Montana. But it's largely a cuisine that it is one of the oldest cuisines in America and also self-contained. It's very unique. Yeah,
every time I eat it, every time I go to New Orleans and I eat the food there, I'm like, what the fuck?
I know. It's so simple, because it's only there. It's like like a vegetable and rice and some sort of meat, and just the way it's cooked and seasoned is uniquely its own.
And it's also truly driven by what's around.
Very well said. Very well said. It's
just like the way cooking should be.
No, you're totally right. It is actually like one of the few American cuisines. Well, it's the only American cuisine that is actually driven by microclimates and like that's real locality.
That's how we should be cooking all the time.
100%. That's a great point. I love that. Let me plug a couple questions.
Plug them all in there.
So you went to Europe. Spent some time there.
Ran out of money.
Cyprus, not a place, ran out of money. And came back to the States.
Came back to the States.
And you said, okay, what's next?
I said, what's next? When I came back, my ego was like very, very chill. At that point, my friends were starting to graduate. I had no money, so I was living with my parents. They were living in San Antonio at the time.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm living with my parents. I have a degree. Like,
yeah.
Let's get it going. Let's get it going.
Let's get this bread.
And then I was like, what the fuck am I doing in San Antonio?
Sure.
No offense to.
No, I mean,
I love it, but
yeah.
I wanted to get back on track on like owning a restaurant. Right?
Yeah.
And I had my sister at that time lived in Austin, and San Antonio, Austin, like you always look at Austin like a real place to be. I looked at jobs on Craigslist because that was where you looked for jobs back then. And I sent an email to Rene Ortiz from like that side, and I said, hey, will you hire me? Because he was looking for a coach. And he was like, yeah, come tomorrow for an interview. So I drove the next day, and within a week I was living in Austin now. I was lucky to have my sister here. I stayed in like her studio apartment, kitchen, living room situation on the floor. Yeah. So I found a place, got some money, blah, blah, blah. And every time I try to move away from Austin, something pulls me back in a positive way.
I have completely experienced the same thing.
Yeah. In a positive way where you're like, I'm ready, like, I want to chase the stars, I want to chase this thing. And then this opportunity comes back, And then you do that, and then I go back to wanting to leave, and then opportunity comes around. And in a way, every time I try to leave, I can leave to chase the opportunity that was placed in front of me at the time. Yeah. The first one was opening laundrette and being my first CDC role and opening a business and realizing that opening a restaurant is not just cooking and looking at floor plans, looking at architect's drawings, not knowing what casters meant, what not. I didn't want to look like an idiot in front of the architect. So
Googling shit really fast.
Too, and like, why the fuck do they have to say, instead of like, say dirty, don't say soiled. Like, I'm talking another language. Like, I'm processing and translating in
also,
Spanish.
No one ever says this is soiled. It is a literally unnecessary word outside of the context of gardening.
So all these things I had to learn, but I'm glad I did it.
From Winston Churchill.
Exactly. And it's like when that's not your first language and you don't want to look like a Muppet in front of an architect because you're about to be the chef that runs this shit, right? That runs the show. And you're like, what is casters?
Yeah.
It's like, just means little fucking wheels.
When did you feel, well, I mean, I don't want to presume that you do, I would assume you do. When did you feel like, okay, I am legitimately bilingual?
I mean,
pretty early?
No, I think I realized that when I was like in my early 20s. Okay. But even then, still, like there's things that I just, if I never heard a word, of course, in English, why the fuck should I know what it means, right?
100%.
I have a good understanding of what everything means, and even if I don't know the word, I'll figure out by the context, right? Yeah. But there's some things that, like, for example, numbers, I can't do in English.
Oh, interesting.
If I do math or something like that, like numbers, I do it all in Spanish in my head, and then I just translate the final number. Dreaming, I can do in both.
Interesting. Dreaming about numbers.
Dreaming of a number is getting weird because then it's translating my translations in my dreams.
Who knew? I never knew you were so left brain. Fascinating. We're doing things every day. Yeah. So you come to Austin, you go to La Condesa, you spend 2 or 3 years there? Yeah, right? If memory serves. And then, is that when you did the Uchiko thing? Is that when
that's when I walked into your arms.
Yeah, and that's when our stars crossed, and we that was a fun year.
That was a fun year, and I think I learned a lot more than I thought I was going to at the restaurant. I learned a lot from you too, especially just.
I appreciate that.
The way
I learned a lot from you too.
Way you carry yourself was always, you did it in so fucking pristine way of being positive all the time, especially because I knew the card you were being dealt at the time. That's rough. Let me remind you, like when I started there, you had just moved from Houston. Mm-hmm. You were walking into a kitchen that was having pretty much somebody's last day every other day. Yeah. From a kitchen that had been together for 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
When Paul went and opened his restaurant
and fucking one top chef.
Yeah, and I was coming from managing people. I was young and I burned out a little bit. Yeah, because I wanted to
Because you're working at an incredibly busy restaurant too.
Busy restaurant, and at that point too, I felt like I was feeling too old for how young it was, and I wanted to keep pushing myself.
Sure.
So I changed that, but I knew exactly where you were being dealt with, like people leaving, having to make a schedule when you didn't know who the fuck was going to cover each station.
Yeah.
And just kind of roll the rules. Like I remember within like 2 weeks, I was working pantry, and then I was working sauté.
Yeah.
And every person that I saw working sauté was so mad. So mad the whole time. I was like, I'm not going to get mad. Like,
no, you were, oh God. I mean, it's so funny. I think I have the same level of respect for you. I think we handle it differently. You have, I think, a little bit more calm and reverence. Which I think is great as a leadership quality. You don't allow difficult circumstances to present themselves to the people around you. You act as a buffer for that. And that's something that was incredibly valuable to me, especially you remember how emotionally volatile that kitchen was at certain points. And having your steady hand in the middle of it was not unnoticed and not unappreciated.
Thank you.
It was, I think, there's always like, I think an emotional kinship there of just like being like, we have a choice of how we're going to deal with this. And based on all these other personalities, it's pretty obvious what we have to do. Let's see if we can get these other guys on board.
There were so many emo people there just being grouchy for having to cook.
I know. And it's like, no. You know what you shouldn't do if you don't like line cooking? Not cook. Totally don't line cook, because it super sucks if you don't like it. It's like the worst. You just get your fucking dick pounded into your fucking body every day and are legit underpaid.
And so if you don't like it,
like there's no upside. There's no upside.
It's funny that we were both learning the same thing from each other in a different way. Because I don't know that I would have handled it as good as you did had I been in your shoes.
It was challenging in the sense that I knew the landscape of what was above me and what was below me, and I knew that I knew exactly what I had to do. Mm-hmm. I was very fortunate. I was at a point in my career where I pretty much had a bottomless tank of gasoline. I didn't get tired.
How?
I just there have been points where I've just been able to do 100-hour weeks for 6 to 9 months. And then as I mean, part of that is just youth. The last time I did that, it really fucked me up.
But did you have to, because I agree with you. Like when you're younger, you can push.
You can really do it.
Like for example, now when I look and I know that I'm going to put in a good amount of work, I know there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Sure.
What was your light at the end of the tunnel at that time? Because for example, when you open a restaurant now, if I know I'm going to open a restaurant, I'm going to knock it down for 3 months, and then eventually I'll start phasing out, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. What was the light at the end of the tunnel at that point?
The light was it was 2 things, right? I stumbled into a complete workhorse in Sterling, who my first day was the same day that he got promoted to sous chef. So we both had our first days together.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Yeah.
And so we had this kinship of we're going to figure this out, whatever the fuck, because he has that same relentless personality trait. And then I also had a pre-existing relationship with our boy James. And as soon as I saw the landscape of the kitchen and we started to get some people in, I talked to Philip and I said, I need James over here. If I can get James, we'll figure out the rest of this shit out. We'll be fine. Whoever else is here, it'll be okay. Because I knew that balance of personalities could weather anything. And that to me,
in very different ways.
In totally different ways.
Very different ways that you need both of them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Balance. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I knew that. I was also really fortunate because as much as the hotline was a fucking dumpster fire, the sushi bar was great. You had Masa.
Masa kept everybody in check.
But you had these young guys like Jeff and Yoni that were just pushing so hard.
Even kids.
Totally. They were all. And Johnny.
Did you want to be good boys?
Yeah.
Did you want to be good boys?
The worst guy on that sushi line is a good head sushi chef now.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Or gal. That's crazy. The sheer level of I don't want to say well managed, but very tightly managed talent that played roles on that. And the people that weren't young bucks were just like old, reliable horses that did their job every day.
They understand the value of having a job.
Exactly. You know,
it's hard to find nowadays.
100%. So that I was very fortunate that like, you know, I knew that if I just could get the young guys engaged on a creative level and not step on Moss's toes with that like the rest of that was that was gonna be fine. So yeah, it was fun, man.
And then you did it.
And then, you know, and then as our careers, you know, came and went in different directions, you know, you moved on to Laundrette at that point, opened it to a huge amount of acclaim. And you were there for 2 years.
Yeah.
Right?
2 years, and I was literally about to go to New York. I was like looking for apartments, and
I don't know this.
Yeah. I
don't even feel close to you right now.
Oh my god, but we're so far away. Yeah, I like started looking for apartments, and I was like planning my exit. And
what was the plan? Just to go to New York to do that thing, or every cook has like
so get that what is it called, like warm over my shoulder?
Sure, got it.
Saying,
yeah.
Get that bug or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, go to New York because you feel like we as cooks have this like inferiority complex where like if we haven't worked in New York or San Francisco or Chicago, we have this like, can we hang?
Exactly.
Right?
It's like, am I good enough?
Am I good enough?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and talk shit about anybody, but I will say I was fortunate enough to have three separate opportunities to cook in New York. And the truth is that people are people, right? So a cook is a cook anywhere, right? I think what you have in New York or Chicago or San Francisco is you have a very small amount of restaurants that have, you know, very high standards, right? And so if you want to experience that, you just say, okay, well, a smaller margin of error is the only thing acceptable now, or no margin of error, right? And so you can do that for whatever period of time, but I never experienced that turning me into a better cook or a better chef.
But you know, and I don't know if you even remember this, but I remember one of the things that kind of drove me to keep chasing that is you established at Pujol, right?
Yeah.
And I remember having a conversation like, what is it like? How is it like? Because I was like, could I hang there?
Yeah.
And I was just trying to get information for you and just And you were like, yeah, like you could to be in this kitchen, like you kind of have to have stars on your resume.
Yeah.
Because that's also another valuable thing that you get from being in those
places.
That's
the thing.
It opens doors. It opens doors in a way that
100%.
You know. Try to go to fucking Pujol and say, I don't know anybody here, but I worked at this restaurant in Austin, Laundrette. Even though successful we weren't, like
totally,
it wouldn't open as many doors. Even if I worked at the Stella as a line cook in New York. I worked at 11 Madison Park as a commis.
Yeah,
you know that opens more doors than being a CDC head.
100%, which is really interesting.
So I think that's what I was chasing, just to prove to myself that I could hang.
You could do that.
Do you remember that conversation?
I do, very clearly. I do. It was, you know, my time there was really interesting. I had a really unique experience because, you know, the first couple weeks were just like, you know, production, and you know, I wasn't sure what to expect from a language perspective. As you know, my Spanish is okay. I'm definitely not fluent. I can understand words, I can speak, and I got by. You know, I definitely expected Mexico City as such an international city to be a little bit more English favoring. It totally was not. So I had one guy that was like totally really cool, who now actually lives in Austin, and works with the dudes over at Emmer and Hestia, and is fucking great. His name's Brian. Anyhow, but so he was nice enough to be like my translator, basically, and we worked through all the production stations together. And then they had this like coastal seafood dinner where they just took me out to the beach for 10 days.
Oh,
I just like went fishing and cooked like food that I like foraged on a beach in this incredible house. And I was like, this is a stage in a restaurant? Like, what the fuck is happening right now? And then I went back for another week in the service kitchen, which was so much easier.
Was it at the old Pujol or the new one? The whole one?
Yeah.
You had to go all those fucking crazy stairs.
You mean the ladder?
Sure.
It's just a hole in the ceiling that you climb down a ladder, and you take
you're just carrying the hotel bags.
You're carrying station meats and plus up and down the ladder. It's insane.
The first time I saw it, and because when I saw it was the new one, but I did the chocolate, the mole, and the nixtamal there.
Yeah.
And the dude, like, he was carrying, like,
dude, it's crazy.
50 kilos of nixtamal and just drilling. It's like, like, what the fuck?
Dude,
I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna fuck it up.
Yeah. My first couple days there, I was in charge of picking the baby goat, and it was like super underbraised.
Mm-hmm.
But the sous chef gave it to me, and he had raised it, and so I'm like picking this like really underbraised, and I'm like looking at like my guys, I'm like, like this shit's not right.
But you can't say that.
But I can't say anything, and so I'm like picking it, and like I can't get the cartilage off it because it's fucking underbraised, and so I do the fucking best I can. It's for sure not perfect. And then 2 hours later,
did they ship you at the lineup?
They brought me into the fucking service kitchen, and it was like, this is unacceptable. And I'm like, yes, chef.
Yeah, you just eat it, right?
Of course.
I had
you know what I didn't eat? Except fucking underbraised fucking baby goat. I ate fucking octopus salad. It was terrible.
I had a similar situation with them wrapping the fucking baby corn.
Oh yeah, the 300 a day? The braids?
Yeah, the braid. Wait, but
I'm so glad we shared this experience.
I was just a good boy. I just wanted. I was not gonna get a job there. I did not want to get a job there. I just wanted to fucking show up, help, and learn.
And just see the flavors, right?
Exactly.
Like understand like what are the processes.
A chef stage. I'm not here to take anybody's job or anybody's place. Like,
yeah.
And so I was just trying to do like whatever people told me to do.
Yeah.
It's like, do I think this is the right way? Not necessarily. Is that what I'm gonna do? Sure, I'll fucking do it.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways of tying that fucking corn. So 3 different people in chef level look at me like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like,
so I always found it the firm knot as the first tie to provide a base, but you had to not pull it all the way up because then it would, when you went to tie it, it would tear off.
You had to tuck it in perfectly. Oh my god! And it's like,
and all this to dip in mayonnaise.
Well, the thing is, it goes into like, you just gotta have confidence to make sure that people think you're doing the right thing.
Here's the thing. Here's what I figured out. I did it for I did it every day for like 9 days, I think. And what I realized, because you work the first week, you don't get any days off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you work 7 days.
It's like the Sunday that you're closed. I don't know if they were closed on Sundays.
I made the mistake. They had a PDR event my first night.
Yeah,
so I was like, fuck. I mean, it was dope because it was just me and 2 sous chefs and the pastry chef. And so we just cooked the whole meal together. And they both spoke English. It was fucking rad. One had just come from Chef of Suerte in Paris and was super cool. The other one was Fabio Bernardini.
Of course, his name is Fabio.
Yeah, it was incredible. He's the one I did dinner with out on the fucking ocean. That was incredible. Anyways, yeah. So I worked like a 20-hour day my first day, and it was just garbage. Like I was like such garbage. The next day it was such a fucking decision. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking push. You know.
But you have the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, it's like,
yeah, no doubt. No fucking doubt. So anyways, back to the story. So you did Pujol, and then you came back and was Suerte already in the dock?
Oh, Pujol was, so it's like, Pujol is way after Laundrette. I was fixing to leave Laundrette, fixing to leave Austin. And around that time, Sam Helmut Mess comes over to me and says, hey, I want to open this restaurant called Suerte. It's driven by Mexican cooking techniques, and I don't want to be the chef, but I think you would be the right guy for it.
How did you guys know each other?
Huh?
How did you guys know each other?
I used to start his barley's one way back in the day when I was a sous chef back in Dessa.
Cool.
And it goes to that. It's like I was working 60 plus hours at La Condesa as a sous chef, and I would spend one of my days off.
Just to get the juices fun.
One of my days off at Barley's one, the old school.
The old Barley, the little guy.
Yeah, when it was like 30 fucking seats.
Yeah, Frank should have won a fucking beer to work that already. It's a fucking shame, dude. Because, it is what it is.
I think it is what it is, and he showed Austin how to not only.
He's the godfather of like all this shit that we all practice now.
He didn't even show us how to cook. He showed us how to shop.
Exactly. And he created the business model that we have built on. You know, like, we all are so indebted to that fucking
He
guy.
should have won that beer 5 years ago.
100%. I literally said that exact sentence, exact number last night. It's funny.
Because I think,
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to, but I think now it's...
We'll see, right?
Yeah.
We'll see.
I didn't even get nominated this year.
I know. It's, I mean, the longer you go, the more new kids on the block you have to contend with. And, that is, it's
He opened the door for all of us.
Yeah. I mean, we all are fucking really indebted to that.
Yeah. So anyway, I would show up and just work. Never did Sam and I was like, one day we're going to fucking quit both of our jobs and open a restaurant. No, we were just working. Friends, just he was like, oh, this is another fucking dude that shows up on his day off that wants to work that we're not going to hire.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Keep it up. So we just kept in touch, not even best friends, just running to each other.
Lovers.
Yeah, lovers here and there.
Yeah.
It's right.
Super casual.
It was a match.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
We would just see each other at offsides and keep up. He would come on the res and they open on Doug, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So he reached out to me and I was on those and I was like, hey, I don't know, I'm about to go to this place called New York. You might have heard of it, and I want to work at a cool restaurant.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, what are you chasing? What do you want?" I was like, "I ultimately want to have a piece of my pie and just be proud of something that I can stand behind and call it my own." He was like, "Well, what if I offer that for you?" I was like, "Well, I'll tell you what. I know how to run a kitchen. I know how to make sure that everything is working. I have no idea about how contracts and all that shit works. If you put a piece of paper in front of me that I can take to a lawyer, I would feel more confident about answering that question."
Yeah.
And so he did. And he made a very fair contract that was fair for both of us. More than I think he should have done.
Yeah.
But I took that to a lawyer and I was like, explain. And it was the same scenario. It's what do casters mean?
Yeah.
What
are these legal casters?
Yeah. Talk to me
I mean, to be honest, that was literally my experience at Pujol in reverse. It's I know what all these things are, but I know what none of these things are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, it was learning all these other things that I never worried about, right? Because, when you go to community school, they don't teach you how to read a contract. They don't teach you, a lot of things. They don't teach you how to what casters means. And how
they don't actually teach you how to be a cook or a chef. They teach you how to be a culinary student.
Yeah. They don't teach you. They don't tell you how much an oven range should cost.
No.
They don't teach you how to fucking fix it when it breaks. Yeah. They don't tell you how much how expensive it is to get it fixed, or how long it'll take for somebody to show up and pretend to fix it.
I think what I wish, because there's never going to be an amount of time that you can spend in a your school that's going to make you, a master of all things they teach. But I do wish that they were able to make you, better at a couple things.
Absolutely.
If you could have better understandings of how to fix equipment and stuff like that, and even if it was just okay, you're for sure going to be a really good, fast, clean, productive prep cook. If we can guarantee that skill set, if that was something that was okay, I can look at this education and assume within some semblance of reality that I'm getting a monetizable skill set as an employer.
Mm-hmm.
That would be nice to know, But there is no certainty with that level of education, which is to say, you take any other form of education and apply it to a field, you can assume that there's a certain competency.
It's when you're going to get a haircut, the barbers. Cool,
yeah.
You expect certain things that you're going to be able to make out of that.
Exactly.
But I think in order for that to be sellable or work, the industry has to change too in a way that we're paying more for the people that are doing the jobs.
Oh, sure.
Because how are you going to have somebody pay me all
here's
money to make this little money, but I'm going to make you really good to be able to get that money.
Well, here's the thing, right? I mean, I would say if, my advice to people these days is if you really feel like you need a degree, go to college.
Yeah.
If you really feel like you need to learn how to cook, go work for free in kitchens and figure out how to pay your bills. That way, and this is something I was very fortunate with my culinary school situation. My parents paid for 3/4 of it. And they skin in this game. And so, and then I was able to pay that off pretty shortly after graduation because I lived at home, Although I spent literally all my other money on scotch and cocaine, so that is what it is.
YOLO.
YOLO, no doubt. All right, so a few things I want to touch on because, as we mentioned to start, so I asked you three things.
Mm-hmm.
Three things that are non-food related because we've covered, the background of Fermin. Now we all know who Fermin is, and your history, pretty much up to now. Let's talk about haircuts. It looks like
you looked at my hair right after you said that.
Okay, so what's the worst haircut you've ever had? And you can't say now.
Well, the lack of one is probably the worst one that I've had.
I don't know. Getting a really bad haircut and then knowing you're wearing it out into the public is a tough feeling.
I think the last time I felt like that for sure, I was in high school.
Okay.
Now I get a bad haircut, I'm like, it'll grow.
Sure.
But yeah, I remember once I find my barber, I don't cheat on them.
Yeah, I definitely slept around with too many barbers right on my guy. I would go.
Once you're in a new city or that person leaves, you have to keep dating, right?
Because I did the thing where I had my thing in Austin, and it actually used to be Kerben's barbershop off of 38th and a half by the Fiesta right there.
Yeah.
I went there for 5 years.
That was Uchiko times.
And
then you got everybody on the haircut.
Exactly.
On the Uchiko hair boy.
Exactly. And then I left, and so I had to figure out. New York was easy. Philly was harder than I thought it would be. I kind of had to go to the hood to get a good haircut in Philly. And Miami was hilarious.
How do you look for a barber in the hood?
You go to the place that has the longest wait.
That makes sense.
And
it's like a restaurant?
And it looks really swaggy, right? But it's okay, cool. There's a lot of basketball posters. There's loud music, and there's 15 people in there.
The thing's you just randomly get a barber, right?
That's the thing.
You don't even know who to ask for.
Well, what you can do now, here's the trick, right? Is you sit there and you see who the other people are waiting for. If you really want to play that game, you never go with the guy who's got an empty chair. You let that chair stand because you will walk into the fucked up tent. That's the worst haircut I ever got. It was in Poughkeepsie, New York. I will never forget this. And I go in there, still a novice fucking barbershop guy at the time, and I'm like, okay, cool, that chair's empty, I'll take that chair. This guy pushed my, already pushed back hairline back a solid inch and a half. I had the fucking Stephen A. Smith as a fucking white guy. It was bad. I just shaved my head. Because he was just trying to make it straight. And I was like, dog, it's what are we doing here?
A bad tattoo.
Okay, that's a different conversation. So, all right, so that's the worst haircut. What made you be okay, I'm going to give a fuck about haircuts now, and I'm going to have this be a consistent experience that I invested in my life? What do you value in that experience?
What I want to talk about is I wish I was better at getting more haircuts because every time I get a haircut, I have my guy now, Michael and shit, he's the guy.
Michael and I, so Michael and I are actually becoming very good friends outside of Shed. So yeah, we can talk about that at some point. I fucking love that guy. He's amazing.
Yeah, who doesn't love Michael? But anyway,
fucking serial killers. Jeffrey Dahmer hates Michael.
I don't blame him. No. Every time I get a haircut, I'm why the fuck did it take me so long to get a haircut?
It's like therapy, dude. Well, we'll get there.
Yeah, it is like therapy in a way. But yes, I love a good haircut, and every time I get a haircut, I'm I look professional.
Yeah. I was more fuckable.
Yeah, I look great in an apron with this haircut.
Yeah.
This haircut goes great with an apron and a kitchen.
Yeah, and claws.
Yeah.
This haircut slays claws.
Fuckable. Swipe right. All fucking but that's my problem. I don't get them as often as I should because I always put it off because it goes into the circle of Michael is a good barber that gets booked out in advance. I don't fucking know what my day is going to look like here 3-4 weeks.
As someone who obviously gets haircuts regularly, what I would say is if you're going to commit, just commit to it. So just decide, here's the time. I mean, you could, within some reality, say, these are the better or worse days, right?
Yeah.
And say, okay, you know, you're a longer hair guy. Every 3 weeks is probably good for you, right? I'm an every week guy.
I've heard.
Yeah.
For a moment, I was going to Bob.
Yeah.
And he told me like you were once a week. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, no wonder you look like a movie star.
Well, I mean, that's probably getting a little carried away, but I will say that once you commit to the once a week and you can't get off it because your hair grows so fast that if you go like 9 or 10 days, it looks like you went 3 weeks. It's crazy, like that 5 to 9 or 10 day period. That's a fair analysis.
Debate
My neuroses. So I will say, set a time, set a day, have that standing appointment, and just say,
like therapy.
Just like therapy. And just say, this is the time that I go do this thing for me, right? It's like any other socket, you know? Not particular.